Hi there, it's Lindsay again, and I wanted to let y'all know sort of an update on us. We have completed 3 weeks of schooling, and this week we started our 4th week of schooling. And I wanted to go through and kind of talk about how our first 3 weeks have gone. So far, things have gone really, really well. We've had some ups and downs as far as emotions, but I think that's pretty common. Not every day is going to be a kid's greatest day. So, we have accomplished all of our lessons, which is fantastic. I feel like we're on a really good roll here, which it sets a good positive tone for our schooling. And we did not start slowly. We instantly jumped into every single subject, every single lesson for the entire week. No soft start, more of the Band-Aid, rip it off kind of technique. And there were days whenever Caitlin was not super pumped about it, but she eventually would sort of come to terms with the idea that we needed to get these things done. And she also is starting to work a lot more diligently, so that's a positive. And I'm really curious to know how our break will be after this baby comes. So it will be interesting to see how she takes to having a break for a little while and then coming back to having to do all the lessons every day. What else? We have not switched out our morning basket items yet. I'd like to go in and update that, change around a little bit of our literature, change up our music. I currently am messing around with our next piece of music that we're going to be listening to for this 3 weeks. It is the Merry Pranks of Master Till. And I kind of think that doing it in this order, having the Carnival of the Animals and then doing this one for these coming 3 weeks, or for week 4 through 6, will be good, because then weeks 7 through 9 we can listen to The Sorcerer's Apprentice, and while we are taking our break after the baby arrives, we can go through and we can have fun by watching Disney's original Fantasia or watching Fantasia 2000, and that should be a lot of fun. And I can remember being a kid and watching Fantasia at my grandparents' house, and it was one of my grandfather's favorite Disney movies to have us watch with him. It was great. So I really want her to have an appreciation for that, and I feel like there's so much good music in Fantasia that it'll be just a very rich immersion into some classical music. What else? We have been working with oil pastels, and so far we have gone through and we've tried out a few different techniques. We've tried just blending it with our fingers. We have tried blending it with Q-tips and baby oil, which has worked out. They thought that was really neat, and it really produces a vibrant picture. And we've also tried a few other techniques that I've found, such as like stippling and blending different colors together, and blending a color into white or blending a color into black. And we haven't really created like a specific piece of art. And one of the things that I was really hoping to get to was I was really hoping that we could go through and look at a Monet and try to create our own version of a Monet. And that hasn't quite happened yet, but we're trying to get morning basket done in 30 minutes or less. Well, right at 30 minutes. And that can be a little bit tricky, trying to transition from, doing our Bible story and our character traits that we're working on, and then transitioning over to our memory work and being able to like shake and get some wiggles out and have some music and have some, just all of the pieces that go in a morning basket. We kind of move quickly through them. And I think that as time goes on, we'll lengthen our morning time, but for right now, I'm content to keep it around 30 minutes. And I think the only things that I'm really going to swap out are going to be the music, like I just showed you, and the, I think we're gonna stick with Monet. I think we're going to continue to work on the oil pastels and work with Monet and reading more about him and the various things that he did. And I think we're going to swap out a little bit of the literature. I've been reading out of the Grimm's fairy tale book, and the girls have enjoyed that, and I really appreciate that there are so many short fairy tales. There's actually been a few that don't have any kind of like ending, so it leaves it very open-ended for us to kind of create our own ending, which has been kind of fun. I think I might be putting our Arabian Nights. We've got the thick book from Barnes & Nobles of the Arabian Nights stories. So I would like to probably go through and read a few of those and see how those work out with our current history and literature selections for our everyday lessons. We do complete every single lesson every single day, like I was saying. And what I mean by that is we do have science, history, literature, and our core like language arts and math every single day. I know that there are a lot of people who loop their their subjects, such as the history and the science, geography, and those sort of things. But for right now, it's working out really nicely, and we're able to complete our lessons within about 20 minutes, give or take. Some of the craft projects in our history curriculum, Story of the World Volume 2, take a little bit longer, so we do allow for that, and it's been working out really, really well. And I've also felt like this first 3 weeks of school, I have not been quite so drill sergeant or militant with our timing, and if we wind up schooling until 2 o'clock some days, then we wind up schooling until 2 o'clock, and I don't find that to be a hindrance on us accomplishing what we want to accomplish while still getting to have our space and our quiet time that we all really need. The girls have been playing together really, really well, and pretty much the only thing Molly wants to do is play. We've been slowly working on a few of her little preschool activities. She really enjoys the cutting activities out of that big book of cut and paste, I think is what it was called. And I shared that in our preschool materials video. She was really liking that. And then the letters, the alphabet, and the numbers worksheets where it's showing you how to draw your letters, how to draw your numbers. She's kind of ho-hum on those unless we use the wiki sticks. She really likes to take the wiki sticks out and sort of mold them to the right shape of the letter. Ooh, I keep wiggling that. And so she's really content to do that part of it. The actual writing part of it, she's less content with. And I'm noticing that she likes to trace whenever I write something and it's smaller. She likes tracing those things, but whenever it's a larger print, she is not enjoying that as much, and she's less likely to actually follow through on drawing the letters or drawing the numbers. And so I'm thinking that perhaps she will be similar to Caitlin in liking the finer motor skills versus the gross motor skills. And what else? It's kind of hard to think. Piecing together our literature with our history this year has been a lot more fluid than it has been, or than it was last year. I have been using the podcasts a whole lot more this year, which has really improved our timing and us being able to get through the literature, and just trying to get some interesting pieces of literature into our daily lessons. Caitlin also really enjoys listening to Story of the World and hearing, we call him Mr. Jim, even though we've never met Mr. Jim. We call him Mr. Jim, and she enjoys reading the Story of the World book along with him and following along. And we also have been reading through famous men of the Middle Ages. I keep looking down here because that's where my lesson plan bag is, and I keep remembering things by looking down there at it. So Famous Men of the Middle Ages is actually on LibriVox, or you can also find it on iTunes for the podcasts. And so we've gone through, and anytime that there is a correlating person in the Famous Men of the Middle Ages book, I will let her read it along with listening to the podcast. LibriVox, I have it, but I don't have it on our school phone, and I find the podcast a little bit easier to navigate than the LibriVox. And we do use we have a phone that we use specifically for school, and that's where I plug in all of our memory work audio MP3s. I have the Story of the World on there that I just sort of, downloaded it. I downloaded the CDs onto iTunes and then just transferred it over to the phone. And then I've also got our Spanish on there, and I've got our all of our podcasts that we're listening to. And that has been our, I've also got these on there, but I need to put Beethoven's Wig on there. And they enjoy listening to that. We have a little Bluetooth speaker that they really enjoy toting around with us and having our music everywhere we go. So far, so good with this first 3 weeks. I would like to show y'all my Erin Condren teacher planner and how I kind of go through and list out what the lessons are like so that I have a better, clearer picture of each week. But I'm going to probably try to do that in a separate video since I've already been carrying on for almost 11 minutes. So thanks so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one.